So what we will cover, I went over this before, but let me just go over it again because my slide was so sovereign economic systems, we're going to look at case study, reputation driven economy, and then we look at challenges and solutions that come up with this case study. Yeah, I don't think I need to go into the intro parts anymore, but let's just move along with the slides. So basically, these three components are what we need. We need decentralized governance, on-chain voting, the ambassador fellowship, the technical fellowship, or basically any DAO needs an on-chain voting system where each member can participate equally. But right now this is not the case because we have some people that have bigger amounts of a token that have more voting power. But this is something I would talk on in the end with the upcoming quadratic voting that aims to solve this whale dominance on chain. So next we need incentives to align. Participants on the network needs, you can't just do work for free. No one will do anything for free. I think starting out, I think you have to do some things for free to boost your reputation or to gain reputation. Or after a certain point, no one would do any sort of work for free. And this is the system that works. You do some initial contribution to gain reputation, and then when that is established, then you get some sort of reward towards that reputation that you have. And then if you don't do certain things at certain times, you get slashed. This is true for DAOs, this is true for validators. Lastly, we need this permissionless participation. This mainly hits on this point of everybody should be able to run a node, because if a specific amount of people, dedicated sets of people that have this hardware requirements can be the only ones ever to run a node, then it's not a permissionless system. It's still the same centralized system that we're trying to move past, if that makes sense. So yeah, designing our crypto economic system, we need tokenomics. There's this joke that someone made before. It was every chain nowadays, they do airdrops to try and farm users in, get the users in, and they use that to apply for funding. Because now they would show that this amount of people are using our platform or whatever. But then this is the airdrop system is not sustainable long term, because when that drops, when they announce, oh, it's time to claim your tokens, you see the price of the token just and just stay there for years. It's still on that level for years because maybe their tech wasn't good, or they didn't really offer any solid solution. They just wanted to sell a product to gain funding and cash out. So yeah, when you build your chains or you have this idea that you want to implement, you should always look at long-term utility of your system. And then governance, I think we already touched on this in the previous slide. So this is decision layer of your chain, like enabling the token holders to vote on chain, like to steer the protocol evolution through on-chain voting. And then lastly we have reputation. I think there is a paper that says people on chain, like they need to be staked. Like everybody needs to be staked. Like everybody needs to have some sort of amount that can be slashed once they commit like a bad action, whatever. But this is true for validators, but not true for like everyday users. You can't have like everyday users stake their token just to vote. I don't think you're going to have any what's that word? Like user interaction on your chain if like everyday people need to stake to use your chain. So you should consider the risk to reward when you like build your reputation system. Like who should stake, who should not stake, who should like have this reoccurring activity that when like certain like actions are not done on time, then they get demoted or deranked. So now we're going to be applying this like principles, this economic like principles to build our case study. Okay, does anybody have any questions before we start coding? We can spend 10 minutes on this, I guess. We'll build the time decay like principle, and then I think I'll leave you guys to build the rest. Or if you want to see me like build the rest, you can see so. But does anybody have any questions so far? No questions? Is everybody following? We've gone stream right now. Is everyone following?
Yeah. You said so.
No, it's fine.
I heard you mention that using airdrops to start off like crypto ecosystems and like sustainable thing.
Yeah, it depends on the utility of the token. I mean, oh, sorry, did I like cut you off? Can continue.
Yeah, I was going to point out like ecosystems
Mm-hmm.
You look at a lot of ecosystems that have come up last year. For sure, there are some that have turned to token but there are some that are still like there's some that work.
Yeah, but for me, I think they still have like a timeline because I mean L2s are just batching transactions for like Ethereum like currently. So how long would like Ethereum last would determine how long the L2s last. That makes sense. I might be wrong, I don't know. Because like this is why I feel if your like chain cannot evolve without like hard forks, it should just create more what's that word? Like solutions like L2s now. Just create more of those chains that would bring some like functionality but would still be like their main like use case is still solving the base problem. of their own. So
we criticize autism to say like something like movement or like the main body.
yeah,
But then if you look at the success rate, if you look at the fact that we have lots of projects, we have lots of DAOs, funny enough, we have lots of like this 300 projects. I think maybe we should actually consider that maybe to some extent it's successful.
no, they have. They have. I'm not saying they've not been successful. I mean, TVL is one like benchmark, so they have achieved success. I think from the span of 2020, I think that's when like L2s like started. From the span of 2020 till now, I mean, Stacknet also, yeah. But then, have you used this like L2s before?
You said?
Have you used the L2s before?
Yeah, I think so. Funny enough, I was using, there was a time I was actually like, or a lot of it got to shit. At the moment, the particular systems they had, like the apparatus systems they had, you could actually see that. And the really funny thing is that a lot of these machines didn't have the right to
Yeah,
like even like farming, like getting to farm like items and stuff. I'm just trying to say that one way or the other, it has worked out.
for a couple of people.
I think maybe, yeah, why would we often decide like their systems and stuff like that? Like maybe this is stuff is not done so far, so just let them out.
Yeah, I get what you mean. For sure. For sure. Like, this is just my own biased opinion because, let's say you want to like buy a token when it launches, yeah, but then you see it's dump. And I'm wondering like, why is it dumping when like they just launched? Oh, they had this airdrop and you were just like exit liquidity. You know what I mean? So I think that was my own like bias against like airdrop. It's just like farming users at the beginning because maybe they need to get like more funding or whatever, so they need to get like participants on their network before they get more funding. But yeah, I mean L2s have mass like success. I'm not trying to like shit on them. I'm just saying it. Airdrops. Should we use them or should we not use them?
Well, how do you think they actually like did? They actually like on Polkadot they actually like had like a huge airdrop. I think they had something like that.
Not to say was it? Yeah, I don't know, but was it huge? I mean, I don't think I go up to like $50. I didn't get up to $50.
I got like
Did he?
now like to know like that has many tools loyalists like on Polkadot if they are pushing out anything me myself I'm ready to support because like yeah it's enforced community and stuff like that so just
Yeah, I understand what you mean fully. That's a great point. Thank you. So now we're going to implement time decay principle. And I just want to show you a few stuff. So switch to our editor, increase my brightness. Is it too small? Okay, I think it's too small. It's fine. So just want to clear out some of the pre-existing functionality in these templates. Don't need any of the extrinsics. So if you've attended the onboarding session, I think we're going to have one next Sunday. So if you attended the onboarding session, you will know how the structure, you know the structure of a pallet, how to build around it and configure it your use case. But if you are just coming, I think you should attend the onboarding session that's happening next week. So that some of those things will be clearer to you and you can ask follow-up questions. But I'll try and explain along the way. So basically we want to implement this this principle, this time decay principle, which is basically we would count the blocks to see the activity of users, if they've performed an action or not. If they've not, then we remove repetition, remove let's say the base repetition is 50 and you can't go below 30. If you go below 30, then you get removed from the system and you have to start again from 0. And to start again from 0 is harder than just entering the ecosystem and you get this 50 base repetition. Or you can create another account and do it again. But then that is another problem that needs a different solution. So let's just focus on this one right now. Okay. Cool. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my viewing. Can you guys see my editor? I'm trying to see if it's showing on OBS, but just if you can see it, just say you can see it, so we don't go back again. Anyone? Alright. Okay, cool. Thanks. So we don't need the struts. We need this import. So in the onboarding session, I talk about this lifecycle functions. This lifecycle functions, on initialize, on finalize, on idle. They basically utilize the states on chain to either like create some like initialize, create some like initial state for your chain, then finalize would help you like clear some data or do some like computations before the next block. And usually those execute the functions in this. They don't execute calls. They execute helper functions, or they change your storage items. So we want to define the reputation change as a helper function, not an extrinsic. Don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but yeah, if you have any questions regarding like what I just explained, feel free to ask. Yeah. The repetition. And our helper function doesn't have like you don't need to put origin here, because it's not going to get called directly by a user. It's going to get called indirectly by a user. So we need, let's frame system block number. I think we need block number 4. These parts. Yep. So the first line, we want to know where our chain is at, like which like block number are we at. So we retrieve that with this. And it's also a good practice to document each step, like software practice. It was also good on like when I'm making a runtime, so that like other people can help sort of improve it or configure it to their use case. Get time. Okay, now I want to define economic like values. Call it economic values. But there should be a better name for it. So basically, we want to define this like my configurations. One configuration we need is how much block, like how many blocks define like a period of when a user is meant to perform an action. Like after this number of blocks have passed, if the user has not performed this action, then some cost is going to be invoked on that user. So this is usually defined as constant configurations, not storage items. When they're defined as constants, because it's just like it's a rule, a configurable rule. Yes. I'm doing too many air quotes. Type. Repetition. Decay amounts. So repetition decay amount will be when like something happens, how much would be removed from a user. Like I said, the base like repetition would be a value of 50. So when that like time period has elapsed and this person hasn't done any like action, this amount will be applied to the score of that user. So usually you don't define things here, you just outline the like parameters and trait bounds that it should obey. You define this, you like concretely, you add a concrete value when you want to start your runtime. I'll show you where you can do that. It's me explaining. Okay. Then we need repetition decay period. And this would be, you know, I think block number. I'm not really sure whether it to be block number for block number, but let's see if it compiles first. Because since we have this bound here, frame system config bound, there is a type in this config called block number. So that's why I'm taking self block number. Okay, so now that we've defined storing items, we can continue with this. Okay. Mute score. Okay. I think we can run this one first. Mute score and then last. What should we name this? Last active. Okay. Yeah. And this will be our storage item. Get. So we shouldn't. I'm using this unwrap for time, but we shouldn't unwrap in runtime code, because it would, if this fails, then your chain will stop. Because of time, we just do unwrap all. But you should find a better way to like stylishly get the value. So does anybody have any questions now? Because I did something, I want to see if anyone's following. I did something. So does anybody have any questions? No. Like, where is this value from? Like, where is it defined? What is this? So if we like compile our code now, this wouldn't compile because we don't know, because this is just like brought out from like thin air. We have to define it. I didn't define it here. Pallet storage. Station. Config. we define this type and use break to 128. So in the crypto like section of the, how do I put it, this break config is like what we need to avoid like attackers in our states. But this is like a topic for another call. But if someone wants to ask a question regarding it, feel free. Just don't want to move off course. See book number. I think this should compile. Let's see if this one compiles this. Takes too long. Expected, okay. Okay. Block number not found. So there's no block number, but it should be block number 4. It's not block number 4 here. Okay, this is how that is. So the best thing about Rust is always the compiler. Compiler is very helpful. Or it's too helpful from the scope. Expected one argument. Okay. Counting. So I need to take in who. And now is reference. Okay, compiles. Move on to the next thing. We need to apply this time-based P. Remember, always comment your code. So basically, it is the decay period and the decay cycle. Which is current time minus the last active. Should we do saturation so be? I think we don't need to. Over decay period. So the current time, the last active. If the current time is if the current block, let me put some quotes here. If the current block is block 5, and last activity was maybe at the second block, that's when the user performed an action. So that will give us 3. And let's say the decay period, how many blocks, how many period of blocks is the user meant to perform an action, or else he would get his reputation slashed. You can see it should be 2. Let's put 3 for simplicity. That's 3 over 3. And what does this give us? 1. Right. Right, 3, 1. And just copy this code from somewhere I saved. So now, based on this decay, we want to get the score. So, based on the decay cycle, which we've denoted as 1, this is the first cycle, meaning it just, how happens, 3 over 3. It's just one cycle since this user performed his last action. So 1 times the key amount is, let's say the decay amount set on chain is 20. 1 times the decay amount is 20. I'll just put this quote here. The key amount, so that's 20. So it's just 1, but still he hasn't performed an action since then. Let's say this was 2. let's say it was 2, like let's say the decay period was 2. This would give us 0 or like 0 point something, which, sorry, 1. Let's give us 1. Let's give us 1 point something. Let's say the decay period is 4. Yeah, let's say the decay period is 4. This will give us 0, obviously. I think. Let me 0 point something. Yeah, 0.75. So just round out, it will give us 0. And then this becomes 0 times 20. This becomes 0. That means he has not like passed any like cycles. So his score is still intact. Okay, let me segue. Any questions so far? I think we would end about 6:10. Let me try and finish this up. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So now that we've like created this function, how does it get like executed? Like this is not an extrinsic because it doesn't have that like macro on top. So we have to create the extrinsic that that would use this function, or either put this function on the life cycle, like inside like one of the life cycle functions, either on initialize or on finalize or on idle, like any of the life cycle like functions that you think would be helpful to your use case. But I think we should just create a call first. Let's create a call. Let's call index. This one is 0. Then we put we didn't add the score. Ports good behavior. And port good behavior, one band there. Now, since this is a call, since these are like transactions that will get called by a collective, not a specific user. Since we're using this, I mean, we want to like model it in the same sense as like OpenGov. People would submit a transaction as a proposal to get executed on chain. Targets who we want to report. I think this can also be like one function, and then you just like do the like structuring, so that if it's a good behavior, the person would type in true or false for a bad behavior, or like report a bad behavior. It can be one like function, but I think we'll just do two for visibility. Dispatch results. And then this is where we would call this update repetition. So let's put this here. And takes the targets, and then however I want to score this. Okay, now this also should take a Okay. So maybe good behavior and bad behavior should be an economic value as well. So that it's like fixed, and everybody knows what they will get if they perform a good action and a bad action. Like heated too as well. And then type. Heated too. Report good behavior. We now get the good behavior score. Let's put that there. I think we would stop here, but I would upload the code for each like economic step and outline it. I'll post it in the group.